Alrighty, everyone. So I had this recommended to me by one of my patrons, and some of you even watched the stream when we played some earlier versions of this. But we're playing some Anakin Skywalker with honestly some pretty cool combinations with it to really take advantage of his action with some interesting additions. Now, this is an all space deck, and I'll kind of explain the strategy as we go along. But a big thank you to my patrons. This is the only reason I am playing this today. As I got a suggestion and I thought it was kind of fun. We had some fun streaming it, so I figured I'd bring it out to you all. So what are we actually doing here? Well, obviously we need to be running some force synergies. If we're playing all space units, the only way to generate the force with an aggression base is by using the Temple of Destruction. So we got a 25 HP base, which really stinks, but it's going to give us the force. Why do we need the force? Well, obviously we can play Overwhelming Barrage, the new Craving Power. Battle Fury is an upgrade that goes on space units. But here's the interesting part. Pilots. So we could play a couple of different pilots in the deck. And the two that we have here are actually Darth Vader and Iden Versio. Now, Iden just works well against some of the other space decks out there. That's kind of the reason why we have it. It also kind of avoids things like Force Lightning, Force Throw, which are super prevalent. It doesn't get around Power of the Dark Side, which is going to be a brutal one for us. But then we also have Darth Vader. And Darth Vader is exciting. It is extremely exciting on red 5. Putting this on a red 5 allows you to essentially deal 3 damage to any unit on attack, which is incredible. Of course, we can put pilots on things like the Millennium Falcon, but the whole idea of the deck is to get in some early damage with some space units, put a bunch of upgrades on things, finish out the game, and hopefully get there. That's the goal today. With Overwhelming Barrage, Craving Power, we have a lot of kind of that 5 resource power. We can put a Craving Power on a space unit. We can put a Battle Fury on a space unit. Basically, everything can be put on space units, which is kind of the idea here. We don't even have any Fallen Lightsabers or anything else to kind of get clogged up in our hand. And that's the goal today. A little bit of late game assurance with Cassian as our only ground unit to flip out from our resource pile and hopefully close out the game with an upgrade or two. But we're going to see what we could do. I've already played some earlier versions of this deck, and like I said, for the stream, and it was sometimes very, very sweet, and sometimes, well, we got Power of the Dark Sided. So we will see what we can do today. Let's dive into some games. Alrighty, into our first matchup up against Han Blue. We're gonna mulligan this one. We have Black One and Anakin's Interceptor, but neither of them generate the Force, so we don't really have any great upgrades. I think we could do a good amount better. This is a lot more exciting. We're gonna resource one of the Craving Powers and the Cassian. We can start off with a mercenary gunship to generate the force for us, and then we can hopefully go to town in that way. Oh my gosh, it is so bad for us, like so bad for us. Okay, we're going to just sacrifice our own mercenary gunship in for 5 here because they've got a Grogu, which is going to knock out like every single one of our units. So let's hopefully not have that happen. But I mean, I think the game is over. Oh, it's so bad for us. They have Chirrut. Oh, geez, guys. We're going to play an Anakin's Interceptor. We heroic sacked in for a little bit of damage, but I do not have high hopes for this game. They're going to be able to heal up to and deal some damage. They got a Sentinel in the ground arena, which is really, really brutal for us. I mean, this game is, do they have things like, do they have a Fell the Dragon? Because if they do, I mean, I don't know how we win. I realistically don't know how we win because we don't have an actual ground damage here to get in some additional damage. We're going to attack. We're going to discard the Overwhelming Barrage because Craving Power is going to be able to knock out Chirrut on the Anakin flip turn, which might get us there. But oh my gosh, Grogu. that is the problem sometimes, guys. Grogu comes down and you are struggling. You are in the struggle bus here. Yeah, they're going to be able to drop in the Grogu heal up one of their units, deal 2 more damage to the Anakin's Interceptor. This is a situation where, I mean, we cannot play around a Fell the Dragon. We have one track mind. That is, we're going to play a Craving Power, knock out the Chirrut, and hopefully they do not have the big old unit that is the Fell the Dragon. Or rather, not even a unit, just the event. They've got Han Solo. Do they have Mace Windu? Okay, they're going to play Mace Windu. I'm very surprised they did that. I think they forgot that they had no actual force generation at the current moment. So that is pretty rough for them. We're going to deploy Anakin. We're going to attack it for 4. We're going to see what they decide to do. They're going to use Grogu here. And they're going to heal up to, they're going to hit some damage into our Anakin's interceptor. They're probably going to claim initiative at this point. We're going to pass. Unfortunately, we didn't draw like heroic sacrifice. We're going to get in 4 damage into the base here, and then we'll see what they have to do here to follow up. We are going to lose the unit here with a Grogu trigger, and I think we're just going to deploy Cassian, and we'll see if that's going to win the game. Is Cassian enough? That is the question. Is Cassian enough? Very unlikely to be so, because they could have Luke's, they could have Anakin's, they have a Chirrut. Yeah, that is kind of brutal. I mean, we don't really have an answer to that, right? They have a Sentinel. I don't know why they took so long to play the Sentinel. Like, this is not a difficult game for them. They should just be rolling through this very quickly, because, I mean, it is rough for us out here. Grogu against us is absolutely miserable. Now, I could have claimed initiative instead of attacking with Anakin, but that would have put us losing to so many more things that I felt like this was definitely the right decision to make. Now, we're going to go with Red 5. Well, I guess, yeah, we're going to go with Red 5 because it's not going to die. It's just straight up the Red 5. How much damage do they have on base? They have 10, 13, 16... I mean, they have enough damage to kill us. So if they decide to go with that, then we're dead. Then we lost. It is what it is, right? That's about it. Nothing else that we could do here. We'll see. Do they go for? I mean, again, it feels very like they could just win the game, but you know they're doing all this other stuff, I suppose. Versio comes down. I mean, like I said, they got 10 damage. That's 17, 20. They have literally 26, or they could bring us to 26. They should just attack the base. Oh my gosh. They just win the game. If they just kill, they just hit the base. I honestly, I mean, they could have a lot of things. Like I said, they could play a Mace Windu. They could play a Luke. I mean, this is all unnecessary. They could just win the game. We have 1 resource. But yeah, they are. Oh, come on, let us. They're attacking so much. All right. They kept knock us out of the concede. GG to my opponent. We had mentioned it, but let's get into the next game. All right, let's see what next game holds for us. We got no turn 1 play. Let's mulligan this one. Definitely need a turn 1 play. This is a lot better of a hand for us. I'm going to keep the arm to the teeth, and I'll probably resource the droid missile platform because there's a good chance that they're going to want their units to die. We'll see what they have. Lothwolf does absolutely nothing against us in the earlier stage of the game, but it can do some work a little bit later just because we won't be able to get in some damage with Anakin, right? That would be the tricky part. Wow, double Sentinel here. So they're going to go Sentinel. We're going to put a bunch of space units down, and we'll see what ends up happening, right? Let's go ahead and attack in for 3. They're going to pass. Let's attack in for 3. We're going to play a black 1. And then we'll see what they decide to do afterwards. They're going to pass. All right, we are going to claim initiative. And then we are going to resource the mercenary gunship. I mean, I don't know what to say to my opponent. They probably don't have much, right? I mean, Queel doesn't really do a whole lot. We're going to go ahead and attack him with a black 1. We're going to go ahead and attack him with a Millennium Falcon. We're going to play red 5. And then we're going to daring raid the base. They're going to claim initiative. So they have done literally nothing this whole game. Oh, man, this is pretty funny. Yeah, they have done basically nothing this entire game. Let's go with attack in for 3. They did heal a little bit with the Queel. Oh, this is the struggle for them. They've got an Anakin Skywalker. They have no heroism use. All right, guys. Going from game 1 to game 2. I mean, what is going on here? I mean, Wow. We got kind of dominated game one, but this was unfortunate for them. They could not get any units in the discard pile, and Anakin coming down being a 5/7 is absolutely brutal. We would have gone craving power on the black one. Remember, this just says has to be upgraded for +1/+0, not piloted. Taking out the shield token, and then maybe the following turn we would have gone Overwing Barrage for 6, but I don't even think we would have done that because there's no reason to. We would have just kept getting in for damage in the base, and honestly, that would have been lethal. If they had nothing else, we craving power, that would have been enough damage to close out the game. So yeah, I mean, that is absolutely brutal for them. Alrighty, we got Yoda up on the opposing side of the battlefield. I'm a little bit worried about this. I think Droid Missile Platform and one of the red 5s go into the resource pile. My opponent could have so many different ways to screw us over with, obviously like Rivals Fall, Fell the Dragons. They could have a million different ways to interact with our board, which would really stink. Black one can, I think I'm going to get rid of the Trench Run. I think my opponent's going to have a lot more interaction in this game. So I think the Trench Run, like trying to race my opponent, is not something that I'm going to be going for in this game. Wow, they've got a X-Wing here in the play, which I'm not actually that worried about here, but could end up being a little bit scary for us to knock out some of our space units. We'll see what they decide to do here. If they pay full resources for the mercenary gunship, I'm actually totally okay with that. They're just gonna, trade here. That's actually totally reasonable, in my opinion. We're just getting in for 3 damage, and then we're gonna play a Millennium Falcon unit because I'm a little bit worried about, a million different things that could happen, to be honest. A million different things, but most frequently is just some sort of removal to get rid of our red 5 would be really stinky. So let's go ahead and just play out the Millennium Falcon, claim initiative, and see what my opponent has. They got a Chirrut. Chirrut's gonna be pretty good, although we are going to be able to craving power my red 5, killing off the Chirrut. Now that does put it in Fell the Dragon range, which is a consideration that I have to make, but to be honest, I can't really make any plays this turn anyways without it getting involved with craving power. They got Kit Fisto's Ether Sprite main deck. Okay, that's kind of a crazy card to play main deck. They're looking for the Kylo Rens out there, I suppose, but yeah, that is kind of crazy. They're gonna attack. We're gonna attack it for 3. We're gonna be able to play Anakin, get in some damage, and then we'll see what my opponent's got. We got a Sailing Fang Fighter double Daring Raid. Both these give +3/+3. Let's just go ahead and resource the Iden, and then we'll see what my opponent decides to do here. They're probably going to knock out the Millennium, or the red 3 rather, because of the fact that we will just kill their unit by hitting with the red 5. If I get an attack here, I'm so close to winning this game. I'm so close. I mean, we have an arm to the teeth. I'm just worried about putting it into red 5 range, right? Or not red 5, Fell the Dragon range. So I'm just gonna attack in for 3 without doing anything. We have double Daring Raid in their hand, which is really, really nice. No restoring from them, which is also very, very nice. But we'll see. Then we got Dooku. They're gonna I mean, that's an easy claim into hit for 3 plus. Oh my gosh, that is a lot of Daring Raids. Very lucky draws by us, but we only needed one of them apparently with how this has worked out. Unless they have a way to heal directly, we've got it. Daring Raid, GG. All right, pretty good. A little bit worried about that. The Dooku coming out of the hand was a little bit weird. Same with the Kit Fisto's Ether Sprite. You never know what people are playing these days. At least I haven't been used to the Dooku, but maybe they're playing Dooku for the Anakin. So they're just exploiting out. I mean, it does cost 10, so 10 resources exploiting out multiple units to deal some damage is a little bit rough. But hey, Dooku doing some work. Almost ended up giving them the win there. Alrighty, into the next game here. I'm gonna mulligan this one. Kind of a weak hand. Disabling Fang Fighter and Droid Missile Platform are not really what I want to be playing on turn 2 up against Revan Blue. Now, Disabling Fang Fighter can be really good when Revan comes down, so I'm not gonna be mad about having one. I think in here, I'm actually gonna resource the Disabling Fang Fighter and the Heroic Sack, because I will have Anakin's Interceptor plus R2-D2, which I can use to generate the Force. This is one of the reasons why I'm playing R2, is that it can make our 2-powered units into 3-powered units to generate the Force for us. Let's go ahead and claim initiative, though. Droid Missile Platform. So I like I think it's just the heroic sack that I got to resource just in case I don't draw anything next turn. Droid missile platform can be okay, and I think in this spot, because my opponent is probably gonna like power the dark side or anything like that, I think the extra power is actually gonna be more important over the red 5's just ability to deal damage. They play General Grievous, nice unit here. They're gonna attack to gain the force. We're gonna attack to gain our force. Then we're gonna pass, and we're gonna see what we end up drawing. Okay, so A-Wing and red 5. I'll resource this. I guess I shouldn't have resourced the R2. I was thinking I could play both of these. For some reason, the math was not there. But I probably should have just resourced the A-Wing. Because if they deal with my Anakin's Interceptor, I mean, I don't know. They could have Shatterpoint. They could have a million different cards to deal some major damage to me. Let's go ahead and smack in with the Droid Missile Platform. They're going to get in some damage for sure, but they're not going to be able to knock out any of our units, really. I don't really care about that, even if they are on the ground side. Like, if they try to knock out Anakin, I'm actually totally okay with that. We're going to be able to go Overwhelming Barrage next turn. Let's get in for 3 here. I mean, we are doing well, but remember, they have 3 extra HP on base. We're actually losing the race, technically, at the current moment. They got to Chirrut. Chirrut is good. Chirrut is very good. It's going to stop us from deploying Anakin, usually. However, we've got an Overwhelming Barrage, and we got a second one now, so that actually is pretty juicy for us. Let's see what they're going to do here. Overwhelming Barrage could deal 6 damage at the current moment. What do I want to do? I think what I want to do is go Overwhelming Barrage, and I think I just knock out the Chirrut. I know I could... Well, no, actually, let's do 1 damage to Grievous so I can start hitting it with the red 5. Knock out the Chirrut just so I can get in with Anakin this turn. I think it was smart to attack with Chirrut. Just because of the potential for us to do something like this with Overwhelming Barrage. Let's see what they're going to follow up with. I think we're still in a losing position. That Chirrut is pretty good. We do kind of need the 4 damage from Anakin to close out the game in normal games. Or they just need ways to... Okay, they're going to have indirect damage be dealt to them. Okay. I don't know if I think the Shatterpoint was really all that powerful here. Red 5 is going to do some work. It's going to do some good work. Let's see how they decide to divvy up this indirect damage. Wow. That's how they're going to do it? That seems odd to me. That was like the least likely expectation I had. I would definitely not expect them to go with that direction. I could wait for them to attack if they had a 1 pump effect or a resource pump effect, but I don't think it's necessary because I could get an extra 2 damage on my Anakin's Interceptor, but I didn't think it was likely for them to have that. Okay, we can resource another one of the Millennium Falcons, and then we've got Craving Power, Overwhelming Barrage as options. Of course, only if Anakin lives. We will see what they have here. They're going to... Okay, they're going to do that, huh? I think I will just go for Craving Power here. And then deal 3 to Talzin's Assassin. This is going to get Anakin out of the realm of being able to be killed. And then we could also finish off the Talzin's Assassin with the red 5. I think if my opponent just went base, it would have been pretty rough for us to actually close out the game here. They did attack, which is really nice for us because that's going to pump up our Anakin's Interceptor and make it so that we actually have lethal on board with that. And they're going to claim initiative, which means they are losing the game. I would have expected them to attack the Anakin, although I don't think they really had many great positions at this point. Rather, it's all about, getting in damage and trading in the early ground. So I do think that game was pretty favored for us. I don't really think they had too many options. Except for racing, really. Into the next game, and we got ourselves a pretty reasonable one. I'm going to resource these 2 because I got the A-Wing to generate the Force, black 1 plus R2 to do some good work on the following turn. This looks decent. They've got Luke Skywalker, so we will see what they end up doing here. Ooh, Craving Power is good. I mean, they could have so many different cards, but I don't think they're going to have a lot of interaction for space. That's my, at least, guess. I'm hoping that that's going to be true. Okay, they're going to have a Yoda. I think Yoda is probably one of the cards we wanted to see the least, just because my opponent is going to be able to... Ooh, okay. Okay, we'll resource the item. I don't think items is good. My opponent's going to be able to restore. and that's obviously something that we don't want to see. Darth Vader is nice, though. It could start getting in some damage onto the units, which is going to be looking pretty nice. And we can even Trench Run. Now, remember, Trench Run discards the top cards of the defending player's deck. And let's say we were to Trench Run our A-Wing. We would have to hit something 5 or less, which would be pretty brutal. I'm just going to get in with Black 1 for 4 damage just to see what my opponent decides to do. I'm a little bit worried about like just some interaction that's going to put us in a losing position, but I'm going to go with Darth Vader on the A-Wing. This is going to be just under Fell the Dragon, and they have Shatterpoint. Yep, Shatterpoint's just going to be excellent. That was the card I was worried about realistically, but they had it. That puts them in a really good spot. As I said, I was kind of worried about something of that nature, and they had exactly that. Nothing much you can do about it. Shatterpoint's just disgustingly good. None of the other stuff I'm expecting them to be able to interact with. The things I'm expecting them to have are like Fell the Dragon, Shatterpoint, those types of cards. So I don't think we can win unless we deploy Anakin and have something played. So we're going to hope that we have something pretty good to follow up here. I'm going to try to go with Craving Power. Ooh, they're going to go with Luke's lightsaber, huh? Okay, let's go with Craving Power to knock out that shield token from the Luke Skywalker. Luke's lightsaber, very good on the Luke Skywalker unit, but that's going to prevent them from just knocking out my Anakin Skywalker for essentially free. And then we'll have Overwhelming Barrage plus Trench Run the next turn. So we're going to get in for 6 here, generate the Force. I mean, they have very close to lethal on board, but oh boy, I mean, yeah, this is going to get very tricky very quickly. We have... Do we have lethal? Let's see. We have 8 damage. 8 damage. I mean, that is 16 damage. That's technically lethal. But there's a very good chance they just attack with Yoda immediately. And... oh, wow. Okay. I mean, that ends up working out for us. Because we are going to go... I think we put it on the Anakin just to play around Fell the Dragon. So we're going to go Overwhelming Barrage. I think they should just race there. I mean, I don't know what they have in hand. But I feel like we have a chance now. Whereas before I was feeling a little rough. It was feeling a little rough. Let's be honest here. All right, let's go with Trench Run. I mean, oh man, this is tough. Yeah, I feel like we have to go Trench Run, hopefully. Oh my gosh, we discard Home 1 and Luke Skywalker. You know what? Sometimes you get unlucky like that. Okay, they had Luke's lightsaber then, and Bright Hope. They should have definitely just hit the base, honestly. There was no reason not to. We really couldn't stall, because if we let them attack with Luke, they would have put a shield token on Bright Hope, which makes it so that we just lose the game straight up, right? Because we can't battle through the shielded Sentinel, which would have been too tough. So I had to go for it, and we hit Home 1 and Luke, which definitely is on the unlucky side of things for us. But you know what? It was a good match. Alrighty, into the next game, and we've got ourselves probably a matchup that's going to be really good for us. I like Black 1, but I'm hoping for a 3 toughness unit. Okay, there we go. A-Wing looks pretty good. I actually really do like A-Wing. I do like Daring Raid as well. I think Heroic Sack... Actually, here, let's do Mercenary Gunship and Heroic Sack here. Again, like I said, I like the 3 toughness up against Darth Vader because they have a lot of 2-1s. And so if we're able to deal with a lot of their units here, it's going to be pretty nice for us. So they can never start their train of generating TIE Fighter tokens. Iden is really solid up against Vader as well because we're going to utilize that shield token quite nicely. And we'll see what they have as a follow-up here. But we're going to go with an A-Wing, and that means that we're going to be able to knock out my opponent's early plays in theory. They're going to claim initiative, huh? Okay, well, that actually bodes quite well for us. I'm going to resource this droid missile platform because I expect Daring Ray to be pretty good up against my opponent here. And we will see what they have as a follow-up. All right, let's go with Anakin's Interceptor. And I think I will just kill the 7th Fleet Defender here, even though it feels pretty bad to do so. Let's go ahead and pass. We got a Trench Run, not something that I think is going to be all that good. 7th Fleet Defender is not something that I typically see a whole lot with Darth Vader. And skipping turn 1 play is also a little bit surprising for Darth Vader. I wonder if the better play was just to hit the base But I don't know. It's tricky for us for sure. Forge Starfighter. All right, let's play Millennium Falcon, and then we'll see where we end up afterwards. Forge Starfighter is obviously very, very good for them, just because they will have the ability to, you know, prevent us from hitting it. So that looks pretty good for them. Here, I'm going to resource the Cassian, and then I'm just going to knock out the Forge Starfighter. I know I'm kind of playing the controlling game, but I think we have the opportunity to do so in this game. So I think that's going to be pretty nice. Death Space Skirmisher is pretty good. We're going to deploy Anakin, and then we are going to attack in for 4 here. We'll see what they do with this Victor leader. No good to me dead, huh? Wow, I mean, that is really good for them. They had a lot of interaction here. We're going to be able to go droid missile platform. We're going to claim initiative, and I mean, I'm not too upset about what is happening here. Daring Raid looks pretty good. I mean, we have a lot of options here in this situation. Let's go with droid missile platform into the base. We're going to be able to use Anakin's ability to potentially do some good work here. They're going to be able to generate a lot of tokens here, but let's see what we decide to do. We're going to go with Overwhelming Barrage on the droid missile platform. We're going to go 2, 1, 2, I guess. It doesn't really matter because they're all going to die anyways. Kill all their units. Very, very weird game. Usually it's not this interaction heavy. Like, I mean, they had no good to me dead plus the Death Space Skirmisher to prevent us from doing some stuff. We are attacking a lot of their units, so they're attacking a lot of our units. I mean, it's a very odd game for sure. Very, very odd game. Let's go with Daring Raid on the TIE Fighter so they can't deploy something or deploy Vader on it if they don't have any space units. Just try to prevent as much nonsense as possible. We're going to go R2 on the droid missile platform, and we will see what they decide to do here. I mean, my suggestion for them would be just to immediately deploy in the Clone Combat Squadron. I mean, it's going to generate... That was the perfect unit for them to have by far. I mean, look, it's a 10-10. It's crazy. Like, that is... I don't know if we can even come back from that. It is so good for them. Wow, and they have a Geonosis Patrol Fighter. That was a fantastic turn. And the last card being something they can draw them cards. That's GG. We cannot come back from that. Good stuff from them. What a fantastic finish to the game. Clone Combat Squadron was one card we really couldn't fight back from. But, I mean, we could have raced them, but with 7 Fleet Defender as the turn 2 play, being a shielded unit, it would have just knocked out too many of our units. And then the Clone Combat Squadron would have just been so brutal for us. So, even if they missed the turn 1 play, that's the game right there. We don't have as much value as they do in the space arena. Into the next game, and we're gonna rely on this Vader to do some work in this game. That is the goal today. Let's go with A-wing here, and hopefully my opponent doesn't have the force throw shenanigans. But you know, I am not holding out hope. Overwhelming Barrage. I mean, I don't even think it's gonna be all that fantastic in this game. But I don't think Ian's going to be all that great either. We will see. A-Wing with Overwhelming Barrage also isn't that great just because it starts with such a low base power. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what my opponent does. I think if they just go with, yeah, Lightsaber here, it is going to be pretty rough for us. Let's play the A-Wing here just so that we can prevent them from restoring 2. I mean, this is going to be a brutal game. Constructed Lightsaber on Gunji is pretty rough. Let's see if they attack for 4. They will. We're going to attack for 3 so that we again prevent the restoration from happening, because they do get restored too with a constructed lightsaber. We'll see if they decide to use the action here. All right, I mean, Daring Raid can be okay. I mean, I just don't think Overwhelming Barrage is really going to do the trick. Oh, yeah, I don't think Overwhelming Barrage is going to be that great. We're going to be able to use Darth Vader here, and then hopefully they don't have like a force throw for our stuff. I don't know. Force throwing us is so not that great for them. So hopefully they force throw us. But force throw is the card I am most worried about. Eth Koth. Okay. That isn't too bad for us. Let's go with R2 with piloting. And then I will put Darth Vader onto my unit here. And then we will just start hitting the Gunji, I guess. Let's go with attack for 5, hit the Gunji for 1. Attack for 3, and then I guess I will Daring Raid my opponent's base. Overwhelming Barrage, Craving Power, Cassian, all kind of relatively solid stuff. I mean, now we can go Craving Power on A-Wing as long as they don't have a force throw to knock out my A-Wing. But 7 resources is a lot more tough. They'd have to have like Caloran Beck to discard over like an Obi-Wan. So I do think we are in at least a safer position. Interesting. I've changed my mind. Let's go with Craving Power, knocking out the Bright Hope. I think we are in the racing mode. If they're going to try to stall with things like Bright Hope, I think just tripling up on the A-Wing and then just using that to try to win the game is going to be the play. Because right now what I could do is attack it with A-Wing. That's 9 damage. That means I essentially have lethal on board if they do anything else in this game. So now we just claim initiative, and then we hope they don't have like a force throw to knock out my A-Wing, right? The force throw, what, Crate Dragon or something? I don't know. Yeah, they don't have any way to get around this. One resource would put them very, very limited options. So I'm kind of happy about that. I'm surprised they didn't go with an experience token over on Gunji early on. But yeah, I mean, we got there, I guess. That's crazy. Yep, all in on the A-Wing, and that is GG. Darth Vader as a pilot. I mean, they could have put a Chewbacca on there, I guess, but you know what? We're doing something a little bit more fun. Alrighty, what have we learned with Anakin Red? Well, guys, I know the deck isn't intended to be a competitive deck. It was intended to put a Darth Vader on an A-Wing. That was the intention today, or Darth Vader in a Millennium Falcon, and we did just that. That was the goal. Honestly, there's some cool stuff with Anakin. I didn't realize this. Actually, the only reason I had started to play this deck is I didn't realize the interaction, or I guess I wasn't thinking of it, maybe because it's not that great of an interaction, but someone in my Patreon Discord, they mentioned, hey, why don't you play Anakin Red and pilot some Darth Vaders onto units? And I was like, oh, true. You can use the Force to play the villainy non-unit card. And even though these are units, the piloting effect is not a unit. So you could actually play, Darth Vader onto a Millennium Falcon. And that was the goal. And we did just that. That said, Tarkin Town is really hard for us. Any, Power of the Dark Side type deck or Fell the Dragon, which is a lot of decks, is kind of tough for us. We did manage to win some games, and you can pull off some wins. Things like Battle Fury and Craving Power, being able to play it on space units is really, really nice. Anakin, you could put things like Fallen Lightsaber on him and things like that. I do think if you're trying to play Anakin Blue, which I don't even think we played Anakin on the channel yet, but Anakin Blue is definitely the way to go typically because of the Anakin Skywalker unit. And being able to live, because 25 HP is really, really hard to live in time. There's a lot of games there where my opponent was kind of playing the more controlling role, where I think they could have just raced, and because of things like Tarkin Town or some other options that you have, or even like a 20 HP base, you just have more leeway, right? Tarkin Town is a free removal option, whereas I'm using Temple of Destruction to get the Force, and then my Force payoff is playing, +3/+3 pilots like Darth Vader. Like it's not actually that powerful of a payoff. Overrun Barrage, Craving Power. I mean, we didn't go Darth Vader on Red 3, but that is a sick play. Actually, I think we did one game. Battle Fury, just to get in that extra power, extra damage. I mean, there was some cool things. There were a couple of games there where it was a little bit more close than I had expected it to be, like trench running the Bright Hope. Very, very close up against that Luke Green. I think if we hit the trench run and didn't die, it would have had to have a lot of things going right. Like trench run would have had to hit, and we had to have not lost the unit. Then they didn't have, and we had to have hoped that they didn't have Shatterpoint or Fell the Dragon or another Bright Hope. And we would have had to play another unit to get that to work. So it would have been a tough situation, but it was a fun deck nonetheless. And we had some good times. So hopefully you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all for the next one.